welcome back to the CQQC podcast. My name is Gabe, and I'm joined by my co-hosts Bryan and Nate. And we're back for another episode. This time, we're continuing our series for the positional positional episodes, if you will. Award show, positional award show, like that. And we're going to focus this time on the beaters, specifically from the West. So we have two. I believe this is our first episode with Quidditch players from the West.
Yes,
I think
we've been wanting to do. We want to do you guys, but it was build up to this. We're building up.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we're gonna call it. Build up to the Western episode, and we're joined by Colin and Nathan. They're gonna help us out with beaters, being that we're from the East, and all the three of us are from the East, and we are all chasers, and we don't understand beating play. That's a little joke. But all jokes aside, welcome to the podcast, guys.
Thanks.
Do you guys want to just give a quick intro? I have Colin. I see Colin on my screen here first. So do you want to kind of introduce yourself real quick to the viewers?
Sure. My name is Colin Crowe. I do he/him pronouns. I've played Quidditch like 5 or 6 years now, and I didn't start beating until like 2 or 3 years ago. It's probably 3 years now. But anyways, I've played with Calgary in the Mavericks run where we went up to the gold medal match, and then I played with Edmonton the 2 years following that. And assuming COVID goes away someday, I'll be playing with Calgary again. Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
Yes.
And then just for fun in Calgary, sometimes we have got like development teams as well, so I play with the Kelpies on that. And I was with Team Canada West, sweating ourselves to death in Richmond, Virginia.
Oh yeah.
Oh, what a lovely place.
Great time.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then Nathan, how about you?
Nathan Unrau. I go with he/him pronouns. I've only actually been playing Quidditch for the last, I think it's 2 years now. But I do have an extensive background with baseball. And to be honest, my last year was my first year. Can I even say it's last year now? It's been like a year and a half ago.
Last time Quidditch played.
Sweet. Awesome.
All right. TC West as well.
Oh yeah, I guess TC West, as well as Northern Lights, a team that went down to California.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Sweet. All right. So welcome to the podcast. As always, we're going to go through, for our sort of award show for the positions, we're going to go through a list. Bryan, if you want to kind of take it away and explain the different awards we have for the different beater categories.
Yeah, of course. So we decided, and we were kind of talking about how you can classify players. And instead of going the lazy take of like, oh, this is the GOAT, this is the best player in our division, our country, whatever, we figured it's best to kind of give recognition for different parts of each position. So we broke it down into 8 parts. And basically we have accuracy, so how well you like throw your beats and how consistent you are in making sure you hit your targets and you hit a body part that is desirable and not bouncing off wherever, and you make those beats. Best range / arm strength, so making sure you actually sometimes the threat of a throw from distance is almost as effective as a throw from distance, and being able to kind of hit your targets from far away or close really is an effective strategy, even if you don't throw it. And having that kind of tool there is super useful. Control of the bludger, so making sure that if the ball is hitting off the whatever player getting beat, they have control of where it's coming back, or if someone's trying to take it, making sure you're able to control it and keep it away. Catching ability is pretty self-explanatory. Sometimes catching is as simple as getting the ball in your hands, and it can be as advanced as making sure if you're going up against a player who has amazing hands, you have to be very careful with your beats and maybe aiming at their feet or making sure you get them from the side. Otherwise, that beat's not going to be worth anything, and they'll catch it. Tactics and synergy, which is just breaking down to what little tricky strategies or what best way do they use the rules, or their positional knowledge to their advantage, and maybe how they work best with a certain partner, and kind of synergize and make them better than the sum of their parts. And then our last three categories are basically one-on-one. For you guys, who would you really just not want to go up against in a 1v1? Like, if you have your partner's double beat or in the box or wherever, who's that other beater who you just don't want to see? And then best seeker beating, once again, self-explanatory, and chaser beater, our best chaser beater. So who's really good at controlling the quaffle game and locking down defense or offense? Did I freeze again?
Yeah.
Well, I'm hoping to my dear God that my mic caught that, my recording caught that. Otherwise, I'm editing this in later, and it's fine. But let's start it off. So, accuracy. Colin, do you want to take it away off the top and pick a player?
Sure. I do have a question. Is this like current players or like?
So I guess let's think the season that was cut off. Like that season plus the season before. So we'll call it the last 2 years of played Quidditch in Canada.
Oh, sweet! All my Quidditch.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that counts. Congratulations.
Yay!
Accuracy. That's a great question. I'm not entirely sure where to begin with that one. Nathan, do you have anybody in particular who's super accurate?
Honestly, the name that always pops up to mind that always bugs me so much is Kaylee. I know she's like, you have always been like her partner, but I have never had somebody randomly dink me at the most inopportune times and then turn around and it's like, where is she? Is she in the trees? Like, so I think Kaylee has to be my one for that.
That's fair.
Absolutely.
Well, I guess in practice I'm on the receiving end too.
Yeah.
I was thinking Kaylee more for like the range/strength.
Oh, that's fair.
The only time I've ever been bruised by a bludger in my life was off of a Kaylee beat.
Not
like,
even from me?
It was like on my shoulder too, just like a weird spot to have a bruise. It's
That's fair.
Yeah.
I don't know who else to put into this to this category though.
Yeah.
As bad as that is to say.
I know just out of like the minute Western Quidditch that I was able to get my hands on film-wise, which was mostly Western regionals and a little bit of other tournaments from that previous year. Someone that really stood out to me in like just the limited time I saw them, I'm sorry if I'm butchering their name, Uda Shiotz.
Uda?
Yeah, Uda.
Yeah.
From Storm Crows. I believe she was playing in Germany before, and I think since has gone back. But
yeah,
just very accurate. Just little, like, I was always just seeing, like, oh, there's the beat that needs to get made. Ball gets hit, ball returns. And just, like, I was watching between a couple of the Edmonton games, and I think there was a lot of the Storm Crows games weren't particularly close to the regionals. Beside, like, the Edmonton ones were, and I think there was one other, but I can't remember off the top of my head.
It's like that sometimes.
But yeah, I found her to be very, very effective and very accurate with her beats that she did have.
Yeah, and there'd be times where she just hit you in the face because she could, which was really irritating. I personally hate people I don't hate people. I hate it when people beat you in the face. Well, the face is kind of fine. Like you're not likely to get a concussion because you can see that ball coming and it just stings. Like if you get hit in the back of the head by somebody who's just pinging you for no reason, like that to me is dangerous play. But yeah, it was irritating. And then she'd say like, "I'm sorry, it was just so open." It's like, well, you're not sorry. Why are you apologizing? But yes, pinpoint accuracy. I would. Yeah, Uda. I'd like that. That's a good one.
Awesome.
To be fair, Uda would also intentionally aim for the face because it's the one target nobody thinks to protect with their hands.
She face beat me once or twice in one of our regionals games, and the second or third time after, I was just like, okay, she's gonna do it again.
Yeah,
and I managed to I moved my head out of the way, dodged the bludger, but still had the reflex to drop mine, and ended up losing mine in a little bit of it was super frustrating, but
Smart move.
That's why it's so effective, right?
Awesome.
Just head games, you know?
Yeah.
Awesome. Let's move on. So we kind of alluded to it, but best range. So arm strength, the threat of a throw can be as good as a throw itself. Who do you guys have?
I'd have to say Kaylee. If we're looking into like non-competitive as well, Alex Lamoureux. I'm not sure that he'll be playing in league level stuff anymore, but not as much the accuracy, but like the power, and he does no control over it, so he just like beam you from point blank, which is painful. But yeah, Alex or Kaylee for power.
Honestly, for this subject, I would put first year me because I had no idea where the ball's going, but it's going really far away from me, and my cardio was great after my first season. Just from chasing down bludgers that I'd yeet into the next field over.
Nice.
But Kaylee definitely is up there because Kaylee always has the threat of anywhere on the field she can peg you.
Yeah.
Well, but.
And like in a similar vein with strength, I'd say Travis Woodward. Not as much for like the hitting you with the ball, but just like the ripping the ball out of your hands.
Yeah.
He would walk up and he just like put one hand on it and take it from you, and there's not much you could do about it.
I think I have a distinct memory of me and him being locked up in a battle for like a good 10 minutes, and then I think he wandered over and just tapped me. But there's not many people who can sort of match strength on that level.
Yeah. I and from what I've seen of watching like Pan Am's as well, Kaylee Mendoza, just phenomenal arm. I'm not sure if like she's played baseball previously or softball or anything, but like, holy heck, that's some arm strength.
I think she went into softball or something afterwards, but I know like she had to retrain a lot of her body after a skiing accident, so like relearning to run and relearning to throw, which honestly gave her a massive leg up on quite a bit of like the Quidditch community, just because like to be able to actually relearn mechanics, but like do it right.
It's a big thing, yeah.
I'm a big baseball fan, and one of the things that I always think of, there's a certain surgery called Tommy John surgery. So it's when your elbow like ligament in here basically is like just snapped, it's done, it's just torn. They take a ligament from your knee and they put it in your elbow, and it's really interesting because it takes a long time, and they've gone better at this surgery. And it used to be just like, okay, your career's done, but now they've worked back. They've started to find people who have that surgery, like especially kind of like younger, like after years and years, it's kind of a like if you're late 30s, you're kind of done. But like if you have it when you're like young 20s, they find people come back and they throw even harder because they're learning their mechanics again, and they're really like focusing on getting certain things right, and it really just kind of adds to what they had before. So
yeah, sorry, I just wanted to pick up on that because I've actually heard of some coaches thinking of getting preemptive Tommy John on their players, like before they even have injury, just for the fact that they can sort of start from scratch. And they've noticed that it's sort of I don't exactly the thinking behind it, but like people have come back from Tommy John thrown harder and needed less rest time. Excuse me. Which is insane.
Modern science, gotta love it.
Yeah.
Anyways, away from baseball, back to Quidditch. Control of Bludgers. So this could be just how well you maintain BS with your partner, how well you maintain just your control from other people taking it, or when you throw it. But Nathan, do you want to pick someone off the top of your head?
Bludger control. I kind of alleviate Bludger control with field awareness and just knowing when and where to beat. And this one's tough because I have so many like split categories that because they're all kind of connected, right? Where like your field awareness is connected to your accuracy, knowing when to beat, knowing where they're going to be. But I think for this one, I'd probably go Nathan Ross. Just for the sole fact that I've never seen a single beater on the field that, like just him, or sorry, just them, somehow end up with triple bludger control.
Yeah.
By themselves.
Nathan,
By themselves.
I when I was doing this thing and was scouting out, I had the exact same thought. I saw that
Like
triple bludger chaos, and it was beautiful. It was just beautiful.
Yeah. I don't think I could ever do that, and I don't think most beaters could ever do that because it's just so unheard of.
Mm-hmm.
I'll also give myself a special mention here. If we're talking like more in like the rebounds and control over like where your bludger goes after it hits.
Mm-hmm.
Similar situation to Nathan's. I had one. We did like a brooms up, and my beater partner did a false start, and I managed to get all of the bludgers and take out TSC's entire line, and then we scored, which was nice.
Wow.
And then one of my other favorite moments was just I had a string of just like just bouncing the ball off the back of Valhalla's chasers and took their line out. Unfortunately, our keeper Alexis was in the turtle up mode, so he was wasn't even over our half yet by the time that was cleared out, so they didn't make anything of it, which is frustrating. But
yeah,
getting the rebound off of a nice beat is so satisfying. If there's one thing like you want to limit is how much you have to run, because you're gonna have to run quite a lot if you're beating. But like, the more you can take off of that, shave off of that, it's just
it's great,
super satisfying.
Awesome. I was gonna completely agree with you, Nathan. Like I said, I saw that Nathan Ross triple bludger chaos, and I think the crazy part was they were down, or like being down with one person and getting triple bludger is crazy. The crazy part was that like it was maintained. It just like the other two beaters ran across the field, boom, boom, got them both, got the balls like together and like sequestered again, and then just they tried again, and he just quick, even like they attacked from two sides, and he just got two of them off, and it was crazy.
Yeah.
One thing that really helps when you're the only beater on your team because somebody's been carded out is the other team can never claim immunity on you, and you can never like get caught for a guarding because you don't have the physical other person in existence. So like that's an important thing. Like if you're ever the only beater on the pitch on your team, like don't write yourself off because like you've got that working for you at least.
That's true.
It's gonna be difficult, but you've got that going for you.
Yeah. Awesome. Next up, best catching ability. So obviously, you catch that bludger, you stop a beat just flat out, and like you were saying, Colin, that basically shaves off a little bit of running just right off the top. So is there anyone with particularly sticky hands that you guys that comes to mind?
I don't think she's playing anymore, but Vera, I think, was her name, from Edmonton. I've never seen anybody catch as many bludgers as Vera. It was really, really sad to lose her last year. I think she just got super busy with university. But,
Was she this the young girl?
Yeah.
Because I remember throwing at least 4 bludgers at her, and she caught every single one of them.
Yeah, it was inspiring.
It's like, what do we do? Aim for the foot? She like grabs it somehow. And I even aimed for the head once just to get a little face donk, and she just grabbed it. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, her background was from basketball.
Wow.
So kind of like Gola in that regard. No, he catches everything too.
Yeah, that's the other person I was going to mention is Gola, because I remember last year at Nationals, first year at Nationals, what would have been. I don't think I beat him in 2 straight games against Valhalla, or Valfrey, I believe he was. Like,
it's very difficult. Every ball seems to go like he's got a gravitational field around his stomach. Just,
like he's so lanky, he just absorbs everything into like a central location of the stomach, and all of a sudden he's just holding on to it. It's like, okay, what do I do? Aim for your shoe top? Nope, you can catch that too.
Yeah. He's one lanky boy.
I have my moments, or my games, or like my strings where like I do some good catching. Like when we were at Pan Am's, I caught what's his name, Jackson.
Jackson Johnson.
Yeah, that one. He threw 2 Bludgers at me in a row. I caught both of them. Thanked him for both of them, and then promptly subbed off and didn't go back on because my ankle was messed up.
Oh yeah.
So that was probably the highlight of my career. But yeah,
he's incredible.
I have moments like that, but it's not like a consistent thing. And so like Vera for consistency, hands down. Something related to catching would be like blocking and deflecting, which I find is a lot riskier and stuff because you can still get hit and stuff, and you're not like, a catch. The best catch scenarios, you beat them out, you've caught their ball, you're now loaded, they're down a beater. Blocking, you've unloaded them. I guess it's similar. But Kaylee and Doug on Edmonton both do really really well with the blocking. So does Nathan Ross too. Yeah, that's frustrating.
Yeah, I think the worst part about a block though is that you have to run after it, because more often than not it just skims away and goes like rolling off the field, and if that's your only bludger, you're running after that.
Yeah, or you follow up with a tackle, depending on
true.
what the situation looks like. But that might just get you beat out. Now you're winded.
Well,
now you're running back.
Exactly right.
And
I have longer.
That much further away.
Yeah. It's a very discerning situation.
I think I realized just how much one play, and I guess this is purely from like Colin's point of view, because he just seems to like want to minimize on the running. Like it seems just like one small mistake or one great play in beating can just snowball and compound. It's like, oh, well, guess what? You made a good throw. Too bad I caught it, and then I hit you back, and now I have BS, and now you have to run, and our team is charging downfield, and you're just gonna be demoralized. Like it seems just like that little snowball just quickly just runs right down the hill.
It's amazing how one little play as a beater can create so much havoc on the field. Like even just messing up a bludger recovery play, all of a sudden your team has no bludgers.
Mm-hmm.
And if you trade beats or miss beats, then that's an opportunity for the opposing team to get offensive on defense, right?
Yeah.
It's just it's very
like you want to maximize the amount of running to beat a chaser that you do, and minimize the amount of running to get a bludger that you do.
Yeah.
Like if you're able to just sprint full out and beat chasers all day, you're having a wonderful game. Or you're not playing Quaffle.
Yeah.
One of the two.
Yeah.
There was when I played for Guelph a couple of years back, there was a guy who joined at the same year as me, Riley Dwyer, and in his first year, he was a beater. I've never seen someone who just like when you think like, oh, I go for like marathon level, like running, like jogs or whatever, or I just go for like a 10, 20K bike ride for funsies on a Sunday afternoon. That's Riley. Like he has no empty stamina bar. It doesn't exist. And he just goes and goes and goes. And when he played beater, he just caused fits because like, you beat me out while I'm at your keeper zone. Okay, I'm like back and he's going 100% speed the entire time. There was no like tail lock for him. And when he changed to chasing, we realized like, yeah, this is still super useful because the way he can beat people with speed was great, but it's just that limitless kind of stamina. Like any position, I would say probably beater, especially, it's even more useful, but like it's so valuable.
Yeah, that's why I want to teach Sohail Shivji how to beat, but he's just so good at breaking people's ankles.
Yeah,
he plays soccer like five or so times a week and then runs. I don't know. He sleeps like 3 or 4 hours a night. I don't know. He's one of those people who just has like endless energy.
I think for the West, him and David have to have a competition of who can run the farthest. Because here's a story about David. One of my friends who played Stormcrows, Kate, you guys might actually know her. She's from the East.
Yeah. Kate.
She went shopping in like downtown Vancouver, and then went. I think she drove 40 minutes to like Burnaby to visit a friend or something, and she saw David while she was shopping. He's like, "Hey, what's up? How you going?" He lived around the corner, whatever. She went to visit her friend, and she saw David running outside of her house, like a 30-40 minute drive away. And then I ran into David in Grouse. I'm not sure if you guys know how far it is, but basically Grouse is about an hour drive from Vancouver, maybe 40 minutes, hour. He catches a ride up to Grouse, runs down Grouse, up Cypress, down Cypress, over to I forget what the next mountain's called. Basically runs over a mountain to the next mountain, and then just catches a ride home. And that's his nightly, run in the sun. Wow.
Nightly? Like, this isn't like a big planned expedition with like pit stops.
That's a regular. For regionals, it was held in Surrey. Oh,
Okay.
No, I don't think he biked there. No, he did. For regionals in Surrey, he biked from Vancouver to Surrey, played Quidditch all day, and then went home, biking.
Actually,
An hour drive, right?
that's
Yeah, well, like 30-40 minute drive.
that's okay.
Like, this guy is insane.
That is insane. I completely agree with you. Riley, who I just mentioned, did the same thing in our first tournament, but to like a lesser extent, because like Guelph to Waterloo's not super long. It's like a 20-ish minute drive, but he just didn't wake up on time, and they're like, "Okay, Riley, like we gotta go." They left him a message. He woke up later and was like, "Okay, guys, I'll be there." And he biked all the way to Waterloo, showed up, and literally 10 minutes after finishing our last game of the day, he showed up on his bike and was like, "Hey guys, I'm ready to play." And we're like, "We just finished. We're so sorry, but like this is this is insane. Like, how are you here? Like those people, like
He's warmed up too.
Yeah, he was warmed
I
up.
will never understand people like that.
It's impressive. It's very, very impressive. Anyways, moving on. Tactics and synergy. So they kind of break this down in two ways. So if there's anyone with like really good like special little tricks they use, or really good at like doing those little things and like playing mind games, or if there's a certain like pair, for example, that like you guys in the West really recognize as like, okay, good beater 1, good beater 2, amazing beater pair. Like, you can talk about that as well. But yeah, however you kind of want to open up and look at that kind of part of the game, that'd be great.
For me, the one that comes to mind the most, thinking about down in Richmond, was the one that showed the most promise was actually Taylor and Nathan. Yeah. Like, those two together up against Team USA held their own, and like they were third string for us, right? And they not only held their own, but they got BS back for us on multiple occasions.
Wow.
Like, they performed extremely well. So I want to give a huge shout out to both of them for that.
Who was it again? Nathan Ross and
Nathan Ross and
Taylor Attrell?
Taylor Attrell.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I remember playing in those Eastern, like me and Nate, we both played in those Eastern games, obviously on the Chaser side, but like those American beaters are insane. Even the Team Mexico ones, really, really good.
Fun to play against. They're just like intense. They're on the whole time, and like if you step on the pitch, if you step into a play, if you walk away from a play, and for a second you're not like paying attention, they're on you, and it's just like.
I think
it's so fun.
It's
so fun.
It's something you don't see that often, which is very good and refreshing.
Yeah, you like take a moment to like readjust to this. You're like, okay, I'm at my keeper line and I'm getting beat. And they're taking BS back already.
Yeah.
Like, I have to be ready for that. That's the level I need to play at. Cool. And if you're able to like get to that headspace, like it's
On the pitch, there is no safe space.
Transition.
There's no safe space.
There's no safe space.
You can be behind your hoops. They're still on you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeez.
The biggest thing that I found with the American beaters, though, is that as soon as you tried to do something, they instinctively knew what to do to respond. So, like, you tried to do a pinch to get BS back, they instinctively threw a bludger back and caught yours or something like that. Like, it was so quick.
Yeah.
And like their partner was already throwing a bludger to help them, like, or like passing them a bludger. It was insane. Like, it's how do we beat this?
Who's your favorite beater partner to have, Nathan?
Me
Maybe?
personally,
Yeah.
me and Uda kind of wrecked house, and it was so much fun because I could. The funnest part about Uda is that I'm a big physical dude, so everybody kind of plays scared of that, and they'll give me space and they'll beat me out if I ever try to go for a tackle.
Uda will hit you harder than you.
Uda will sneak up on, like, I forget who it was, but it was somebody big, and I think it was one of the American teams when they came up to play us. But like, big guy, she just walked up to him and took him down, and everybody was just staring at them like, "Oh, what just happened?" Uda's like, "I got a bludger." Like,
Very, very good at skills.
like, she's not that big physically. She's like, what,
Yeah, she
100?
is. She's so tall.
She's tall, but
and she's built.
okay.
She's
Fair.
not
She's
like-
built.
she's not like
she's strong, but
heavy
she's
or
not
anything, but she's
big,
dense.
right? Yeah,
Very lean.
that's true.
Yeah.
But like, you just look over 10 seconds later, and there's this 6'2", 200-pound guy on the ground. Like, what did you do to him? Like,
Took his lunch money.
yeah, basically bullying this poor dude.
Yeah.
Nice.
My
Any-
favorite partner would be Travis Woodward. I think we've
Yeah.
had the best like success together. Unfortunately, we rarely get to like beat on the same string because to get two male beaters on is difficult.
Yeah, but also Kaylee and Travis is
Ooh,
for
also- yeah.
for me, I was trying to remember his name for the longest time because I've always just known him as Dreadhead Dude.
Oh
But
no, that's Doug.
Doug, sorry. Oh, Travis. Okay, but also have to shout out Doug and Kaylee because
Doug and
they
Kaylee.
work extremely well together, and Doug is very good at catching as well.
Also
So-
very new, scarily
yeah.
new.
Yeah, but he's athletic and he's talented, and he has a really good mind for the game, which I think is the biggest thing for a beater.
And lots of dreads.
I was gonna say there's names I don't recognize, and then you said Dreadhead Dude, and
Yeah.
I'm like, yes, I think I remember him from the film.
You see, I'm also terrible with names. It took me basically 2 years to learn my own team's names, but I kind of remember people for different physical traits and
Yeah,
things. My mind works in weird ways.
Nathan Ross is also wonderful to beat with.
Hmm.
I can imagine that Christian Spence would be wonderful to beat with, but I never get to beat with him.
Yeah, unfortunately, nobody ever gets a chance to beat with him because he just plays for UBC, right?
Yeah, very talented player.
Extremely
UBC.
talented.
Oh, there's so many. Yeah.
UBC had some turnover right in the last couple of years with like Wyatt going to Storm Crows, and I assume some other Storm Crows players coming from
Yeah.
UBC.
Yeah, there was a whole like wave of graduation stuff, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think you can play with the Thunderbirds unless you're a student.
Yeah, I believe that is because I think it's technically a varsity sport for them.
Yeah. Yeah, so they had a big wave of graduations.
Mhm.
A lot of people went and just formed the Storm Crows to continue playing.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, the unfortunate thing you see with a lot of college teams and university teams is that every 2-3 years it's a complete flip, including of the management because it's player run, right?
Yeah.
So you have brand new coaches, brand new team captains who don't exactly know everything of what they're doing.
Or just 1 year for the Ottawa Otters.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so we were talking about this, like this whole college flip and like kind of progression and graduation throughout the years, and another series we did earlier. And I think we found it really interesting because like I played for Guelph, Nathan and Gabe, you guys played for Queens, and Guelph was super loose with like, hey, you sign up for the membership, you sign the waiver, and you're not like above a certain percentage of people in the whole club like that are non-Guelph people, you're good. Queens, you guys rather had to be graduated or currently attending, right? Like you.
Yeah, you could be alumni. Yeah,
I think you could be alumni too. Like Eric played 1 year, and he was technically alumni. I don't know if the rules have changed because we kind of changed status a little bit. Like we're not quite varsity like UBC, but we're like the way it works is like there's like varsity, varsity club, and then rec club. We're considered a rec club, whereas before we were part of like the student government clubs. So like we have a little bit more say, but I'm not really like fully aware of the regulations now. I think you have to be a student, I think. But
Yeah.
So yeah, it's weird how kind of things change over time, and like you end up with like when we look at like wanting to help all these university teams grow and develop and have that kind of like leadership pass on. It's hard because every single place is kind of in a different scenario.
Mm-hmm.
Well, moving on. One-on-one. You're in a dark alley. You have a bludger. Who do you not want to see on the other end of that alley?
Now, when you say who do you not want to see, is this like who is the most challenged? Because I love finding that person on pitch.
If you want to go like Canadian Gladiator style, like it's you in a ring, like 1v1,
Sure
like,
that you don't lose.
yeah, exactly.
Who's the last person?
Who's the last person you want to see, or the person you most likely want to see if you're like going crazy and have that bloodthirst going?
It's the red mist.
Yeah.
Let's see. I find Nathan Ross is super irritating to try and take a bludger from. I don't know if that's because I just look at them like a friend too much. But
Fair.
I have severe difficulties getting bludgers away from Nathan. Emma Sherwood, Christian Spence.
Christian
Kaylee's-
Spence definitely has to be up there because
Oh, yeah.
oftentimes he's with beaters who basically have no idea what they're doing. They're brand new at the game, and they haven't really played Quidditch or much sports in terms of their lives. But he always finds a way to be either threatening or to achieve something. Like he either creates a lane, he either creates bludger control. Like he definitely shines, in my opinion, as a one-on-one
yeah.
beater.
Yeah, he's fantastic. I remember when the last game we played against Thunderbirds.
TSC?
TSC? TSC. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
I was just like, I would come on pitch, and then like a play or two later, he would come on pitch, and then we'd play a bit, and then I'd have to sub off. And one point, I was just like there on pitch, holding a bludger, looking at their field. I'm like, goalie's not on yet. I look to the sidelines, just like see if he's waiting to come on. He's not there. So I freaked out and like ducked, and lucky I did because he was behind me. He was getting a bludger from like around the sidelines, and like, yeah, he's like just very good at setting up opportunities like that. And just and even
He's
when
very
he's just coming
creative.
at you, like, yeah, even like front on, like just super athletic, super in your face.
Yeah.
Not afraid. Like, yeah, that's one thing for the 1v1 is like somebody who's just not timid whatsoever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
I like going against Kaylee. I don't find Kaylee's too bad to 1v1. That might just be like the way our styles kind of go against each other.
I find Kaylee doesn't work well in a 1v1 just because she's so used to working as a team, right? Or as a group,
Kaylee's
like a two-player.
such a good partner, yeah.
Yeah.
And
Like the aggressive partner. Like typically you want somebody who's like hangs back a little bit, but yeah, Kaylee's definitely like the aggressor.
when we talked about this with the Eastern beaters, one of the things they said is like, yeah, you can kind of go one-on-one and you can look like who do you not like facing up against, but like a lot of it comes in the fact that like you're always working with your partner, so like there are scenarios where you'll be one-on-one, but it's like very short, like, okay, I'm looking around, what's happening? Oh, it's like face off right now. And then if nothing happens, nothing happens. Or if it happens, it's super fast, but like it's always a 2v2, not necessarily a 1v1.
Yeah.
Like we'll do like King of the Hill drills where you've got two lines and you just kind of go in and off, and like I'll have long streaks on those, and that's great. But like eventually you get tired, and in the game if you're not working with your partner, you're not being efficient or effective.
Yeah. Like the unfortunate thing about beating is that you never shine as a solo player. Like you could be the most talented, amazing solo player, but if you're not working together with your partner, you can be beat.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of
Partner
teams.
ticket chase, you got to work with somebody.
Well, it's kind of like you're either working with their chasers to create lanes or create opportunities, or you're working with their chaser for them to create you an opportunity to get a bludger, right?
Yeah, like
So
you're the most powerful player on the game because you're holding a 15-second yellow card.
Pretty
Like,
much,
you
yeah.
hit somebody that they're not allowed to play. That's the power of the bludger.
Yeah.
But you're also the most powerless because you cannot score any points at all.
No, technically you can.
Okay, yeah, you can go through the dream. You can bump a quaffle through the hoop with a bludger.
With your bludger, it's technically possible. I have tried.
I can guarantee that it's happened because Zach McDonald bugs me all the time because he did it with Guelph last.
I don't want to meet Zach Manali.
Yeah.
It'd be fun, but like, yeah.
Exactly.
Just in terms of athletic prowess, yeah, like he can either outrun you or outthrow you. Like athletic prowess is
if possible
top
both.
tier.
He'll jump up, do the splits.
Yeah.
Yep. Very much a Zach move.
Yeah, I started stealing that.
I will let him know. I'll let him know that you took this move. He'll come for you.
That's how I've learned to beat. I just watch good beaters and I steal everything.
Yeah.
Funnily enough, like the way that I originally learned beating was through Colin and Kaylee. Remember down in San Jose? Like I learned more in that weekend than I did for like 4 months of trying to figure out what the rules are.
Yeah.
Nice.
Awesome.
Trial by fire.
Yeah, trial by fire.
You have to.
Virtue will come eventually.
You can
Caught
do
a
as much
t-shirt,
practice as you want. Beating's like about just game scenarios.
Yeah.
To be fair though, I had no background where I remember my first shift, they put me on the field and said, hit that person. I said, okay, dropped my broom and decked him.
Nice.
And I probably got a card. And I'm like, what did I do wrong? They're like, well, where do you want to start? You two-hand wrapped. You dropped your broom. They didn't even have a bludger. Like, what's going on here? Like, oh, okay, sorry.
Live and learn. Anyway, so in the topic of game scenarios, our last two basically come down to pre-snitch and post-snitch. So I guess we'll go with the pre-snitch. So who do you see are really good quaffle beaters in the sense of they're very good at rather preventing goals or allowing their team to score goals? Because like you said, like beating is a very kind of weird position in the fact that like you have this kind of ability to put people out of the game for short spurts of time. But most likely you can't score.
That's where I kind of equate beating to chess, where it's like, you know what exactly, it's not just one move and then, oh, I got a flashy dunk off my super sick cut on the edge and I got to step up on my partner. It's kind of like me and my partner worked together on a really good pinch, and then we converted that into creating an opening, and then we converted that into having bludger control and et cetera, right?
It's a little bit like a war game.
Yeah.
This is my bullet. Sometimes it comes back to me.
That's a good way to think of it, yeah.
But
I think in terms of...
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. You started.
I was going to say it's kind of tough because like chaser beating is like for the most part this is beating. And if you're not creating opportunities for your team or shutting down the other team's opportunities, you probably should sub off because you're not impacting the game in a meaningful way. You might be going to get a bludger back, and that's great if you're setting up the next play or something like that. But if you're off, common excuse is I was caught up in the beater game. But there's no such thing. There's no beater game.
It's a misnomer, right?
Yeah, it's
a game.
Like
it's all one game.
Tied up with another beater, but you're playing the quaffle game. You're just not. Yeah, just missing that.
One name that pops to mind that's really good with the chaser game, probably because he's also a chaser, is Travis from Edmonton. We could be in the middle of doing a bludger recovery, and he'll still have like the sort of field awareness to turn and throw at somebody who's driving or is open, etc. Right?
Yeah, and that's another thing to be like to have the beaters in your sights and still like make them think that like they're your focus, and still like go and hit the chasers.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Awesome. So on to our last part, seeker beating. It's not, I wouldn't say controversial, but like it's a very necessary and important part of the game, and I think how the game is getting changed rule wise from different like MLQ versus the IQA changes versus the QC changes. The end of the game is kind of becoming a little different over the years, and it's kind of diverging on how the game should be played. But either way, you don't want the other team to catch the snitch for the most part. Like simple fact, it's just probably not the greatest scenario, and you want your seeker to do so. But who's really good at kind of setting up those scenarios for your team or preventing the other team from catching?
The biggest thing I equivalent seeker beating to is basically mental fortitude. Because at that point, you've played for, I forget when the snitch comes out. I'm terrible with numbers. 17? Okay. Oh, when seekers are released, sorry.
18.
Yeah. But it basically at that point, you've been running around for 17 minutes. You're tired. You've probably played maybe 10 minutes, 8 minutes, 6 minutes of that. So you've definitely been pushing. And now...
you have to sprint.
Yes. Constantly, because if you're not pressuring the snitch, they're going to catch, basically. And against teams like Stormcrows, where we have such a long line of seekers, we can catch at like the drop of the hat, basically, right?
Yeah, like for the West, I would give seeker beating just to the Stormcrows in general. Like the best thing you can do for seeker beating is you set up that wall and you just you box their
that space,
and you just then you don't have to run, and that's so important because if you don't have that situation and you're just like constantly trading beats off each other, you're just sprinting in circles and you're just sprinting and sprinting and sprinting, and then at that point it's just okay, who has the better seeker, or sometimes it's the luckier seeker, but whichever it is, like if you can't lock down control of the seeker game there, like that to me is the if you can lock down a seeker, a snitch area as a beater, like you've won seeker beating.
And I think the biggest thing that people often overlook is working with your seeker, because if you can contain the snitch on your half of the field, as well as having Bludger control and controlling that area, you could lock a team out almost permanently, where you can just continuously make trades and create opportunities for your seeker, versus if it's like a 50-50 struggle where you're just trading beats, Bludgers are going everywhere. It's kind of chaotic, and at that point, any seeker could catch.
Plus, you're exhausted, and now you're running back one at a time and just getting beat out. Like it's that lends itself to the mental fortitude part. So, but yeah, no, I'd say Stormcrow's seeker game is just super tight.
Nice.
Yeah, it's incredibly difficult to catch a snitch against you guys.
Well, snitches, to be fair, snitches don't have a tendency to last long against us.
No, they don't.
Just from the sheer fact that we can throw 3 different seekers at you, and all 3 of them can catch you in different ways. That's the insane part. Like you have Indy, who's just hands and wrestling, and then you have Austin, who would just crawl up your back.
Might get a couple called up.
A couple of but that's Austin's
and then
seeking.
Wyatt, who's just like, "Hi, I'm big."
I am big and strong. I'm just gonna put you in a ball and take that from you. Thank you.
I've been wanting to train seeking once my body is fully healed and actually in good shape again. But like when I've watched Wyatt seek, he reminds me of a certain MLQ seeker for Austin Outlaws, and they're a really, really good team. This guy Josh Andrews, and plays keeper as well. He's a big guy. He's like, I'm the smallest between Josh Andrews, Wyatt, and myself, and like it's this weird archetype of big guy, lanky, like strong seeker. Because it's
big,
like
physical but quick,
Yeah, it's like you have enough like leg speed to keep up with the snitch and be there, but like you're not gonna stop me strength wise. You're not gonna stop me length wise. Like I'm not gonna like Austin Wallace climb through your legs and catch the snitch or climb over top of you or whatever the heck he does. But like, yeah, playing those games of just pure strength. Like it's that's the only way we're gonna win, and that's what it is. And yeah, watching Wyatt work like that, it's very, very crazy.
Even watching Wyatt work as a snitch itself, like physically, he could just control every seeker that comes up against him, right?
Absolutely.
But he's still quick enough where you can't sort of dodge under him.
Mm-hmm. Anyways, that more or less wraps it up, though. We have a couple questions. Just kind of end of bag before we wrap up. But Nate or Gabe, you want to take it away with those?
Yeah, I'm just gonna pull them up here. Where are they?
Any questions from the crowd?
If only.
Yeah, honestly, like we're joking before the podcast. Like I've actually never played a West team. Like when you guys came to Nationals in 2018, like we played. I think we played you, Ryan, twice, and we didn't play a single West team. And I was just like, they came all the way out here, and we still haven't played them. It's just it's kind of
the worst. But the worst is when we get the brackets where we're just playing against the East teams. And stuff.
Yeah.
This is our only chance to play against these other teams.
Yeah.
I think that was 2018, where it was like Storm Crows, Edmonton, and one East team in one bracket, and then the other bracket was just straight up three East teams.
Yeah.
Where it's like, okay, I guess this just regionals all over again. Like,
yeah.
I was working with Kyle Ross and trying to like figure out like divisions for that thing, and we want it purely based off of like team ranking, and we don't want to be like we just want to make matchups. Every time we tried rearranging it, we had something as well. We had like a justification that was like, oh, this works with this like thing, or like how we set up the divisions or whatever. And then there was one more tournament, completely screwed it. And
it makes sense. It just sucks.
Yeah. Anyways, Gabe, take it away.
Yeah. So the first question we had for you guys was, do you feel there's any differences in style between East and West? We always get like the notion that like with Chaser play, there's differences between East and West. What about like in beating? Do you guys, in your experience with beating from the West, do you guys see a difference having played with in Pan Ams between the East and West type of beating?
Yeah, totally. I find your beaters are a lot more physical. I find a lot of the time, being physical as a beater, like in terms of wrapping somebody or tackling somebody, is just a wasted expenditure of effort.
Mm-hmm.
If you get a sloppy wrap or a sloppy kind of tackle off, you're going to get tapped out, and now you're running back and forth. Or maybe sometime you've tackled somebody to ground, great. Maybe you take your bludger out of play. That's good if your chasers capitalize it in that like 2-3 seconds that you've opened it up. Odds are you're not getting the bludger from them unless your partner's there. In which case, the other beater on the defense is still stopping your players from scoring a goal, and now you're on the ground, and that's way more tiring.
Mm-hmm.
That isn't to say like it's bad to tackle people. Like there's plenty of great times to tackle people. I just think it's overused in the beater game.
Colin Crowe, the man of efficiency and not wasting.
That's what beating is all
Engineer.
about, Charlie, bro. Yeah, if you the more energy you have to just beat everybody else, this is more fun. And I find that like the people who play like the chasers we have or the keepers we have, like the drivers or the quaffle handlers, tend to be a bit smaller or like a bit more on the finesse and like the passing around, and less so on like the drives and maybe like the taking hits, which we could definitely do a bit better on like the being able to tackle. I know there's a few teams out here that manage that efficiently. Like if you play differently as a beater when you stand there with your bludger and you know that should X happen, 2 or 3 of my chasers are going to pile this person down to the ground. They're not going to be able to score. Great. I don't have to worry about that versus like if I lose this bludger and open up a driving lane, they score. They probably score. So it definitely creates a difference in your play style. It's nice to be able to go ham when you're on defense, but if that leaves your team open, then that's not something that you necessarily are able to do.
Yeah, it doesn't really achieve anything.
Like I found a lot with Edmonton, and don't get me wrong, their defensive chasing's great. They'll take people to ground. It's wonderful, but you'd spend more time just like you kind of bide your time and you wait and you get that right beat at the right time. Because like a good defensive beat is one that doesn't take out the passer. You either stop the drive or you take out the receiver.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the two things that I was going to highlight were that Eastern beaters tend to be more physical, and the other thing is they tend to use the entire field more. I know Colin and Kaylee like to use the entire field because they're extremely aggressive, and I've never seen somebody beat somebody off the bench like Colin.
Hey man, the bench is the field.
But I just find Eastern beaters tend to be more aggressive, where Western beaters tend to be more sort of fixed in our, okay, you score, you retreat back to half, and then we set up a play, and then we score, and then we retreat back to half, and you guys set up a play, where it's like, it's this sort of dance where it's like, you do this, now we do this, now you do this, as opposed to Eastern beaters tend to play the entire field more and be more aggressive in those transitional periods.
And I found there's been like an evolution over the years too, because like in 2018 when we went out to nationals, we would go on offense with both of our beaters, and I remember distinctly hearing somebody being like, they just attack us with both beaters. Like, what is this? And I don't know if that was just like where they were in the kind of. I'd say there's a beater meta game, but
it's always
it's like we're both at different spots. Yeah. Not necessarily a better spot or a worse spot, but just a different spot on the rock paper scissors triangle at different times.
Would you guys agree? I think it's kind of a setup question, but like, would you guys agree that like maybe those styles are also dictated off who you have as a team and who you play as, and that also might be the reason why you do that, right? Like,
yeah, definitely. My ideal team, you would start defense at their keeper line. And I get that off of having played against Team USA. They would start at our keeper line, and that's where your harassment would start. And you just have to like fight your way up the whole way. Whereas like if your team isn't set up for that, you can go and do that, and you might be doing a great job. But if you have no chaser support, you're gonna lose that bludger. It's not gonna work.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I think a lot of it has to do with their confidence to own the entire field. Is they also have a confidence that A, their chasers are going to make the stops on the drives, and B, they have a confidence in their accuracy to be able to stop a drive from more than, say, 5, 10, 15 feet away, right?
Yeah. One major, or not, one of the bigger differences I think I see between the Eastern and the Western teams is in the East there's a lot more focus on disable that bludger, like take that bludger out of play, and then we will go score. And it's just like there's a lot of focus on taking out the beaters and then taking out the chasers and stuff. And I think that the West focuses a bit more on creating yourself available to take out the chaser. Don't commit to the beater for as long as you can. If you have to commit, sure, do it. But like focus chaser.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I find that the style of creating, like in the West, we have a bunch of plays focused on creating lanes, like taking out the point chaser, taking out people's marks, just so that they can have that opportunity to receive a pass and drive, and basically forcing the defenders to try to put two people on one person, and that creates those openings for drives, for give and goes, and just having an open person beside the hoop.
Yeah, like the Eastern offenses have like that confidence that I can beat this chaser, or I can beat that chaser, I can pass around this chaser. So you take care of the beaters, and we'll take care of the rest.
Yeah.
Cool.
Nate, do you have another question to add?
Yep. So as a follow-up question, I guess. So what part of beating do you guys find is underappreciated or unrecognized by the overall Quidditch community in Canada?
Can I just say one thing real quick, Colin?
Go for it.
We run so goddamn much. Appreciate us.
The same thing. There's no more cardio intensive position than beating. I started beating because I got wicked bad shin splints for like 2 years. I had them for like a year and a half, maybe 2 years, and I was like just easing back into play. So I was like, okay, I'll beat. It'll be no. There's more running. but it was way more fun, at least for me. It's just the possession that I should have been playing the whole time.
Yeah,
So
I think
much
looking
running.
back, if I knew how much running there was in beating, I could have started as a chaser. Like the
And
reason that I started beating is because they handed me a bludger and said hit that person, and I decked them. I'm like, this is a lot of fun. I can get behind this. But looking back, the amount of running you have to do is, I don't know, man.
It's brutal. It's absolutely brutal. Also, I don't know. Like I used to experience this. You'd be at like practice or something, and like the point chaser would be up there like doing their thing, and they just be like, "Where are the beaters? I need a beater." And you're like, "Now is not the time. I'll get there. Don't worry, but like I got to take care of this thing first."
Keep yourself occupied, kid. Like,
Yeah.
shush.
Like people are like, "Oh yeah, the keeper. Keeper's in the back. They see everything. They're gonna like control the flow." And it's like, no, we'll control the flow. You can believe that. I mean, you work together. You make the picture. Like, if the keeper tells you what they want, like, you know how you can make that happen. Yeah.
Keepers see two things: open hoops and open arms. They don't see beaters.
You don't have to, man. They got that keeper's on.
Right?
That's the beater's job.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about that. It's you guys. You guys are responsible.
That actually alludes to a point that I want to, like, sort of pick on, is that a lot of times beaters kind of get told what to do, or like, hey, create this opening, or hey, take this beat, create this. And it's like a lot of play that beaters do has to be dictated by beaters because it can change depending on what the defenders do. Like, I'm just talking from an offensive standpoint here, is if they back off on one guy who throws back to hoops or whatever, and you're trying to pinch to get bludger control, you have to completely change your avenue of attack.
Yeah.
You have to either fight for that bludger, or you have to switch to the other beater, who's probably pushed up, right? So it's kind of like chess in that way, where if they make the proper counter, you have to change on the fly.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
Whereas if you get told to just, go beat this person, you go beat them, then all of a sudden the other beater's running havoc in the chasers, and you lost control of the quaffle, right?
Yeah, it's much more useful to get like, what do you want to accomplish? Tell me that. Like,
Yeah.
I want a lane there. Okay, cool. Or
I
like
can do that.
lane. Just give me a lane. Cool.
Yeah.
Just keep your eyes open. I'll open the one that shows itself, and
You'll
we'll
have
get
runway
there.
lighting and a flight attendant on the other side.
Versus like beat X, beat Y. It's like, no, beating them right now would probably lose me the ball, and then I'd have to run some more.
Beater,
Exactly.
hey,
That's the last thing I want to do.
hey, Mr. Beater, I want a goal. Make that happen.
Aye, Captain.
Okay, we're hitting the general, and then the specific. There's a sweet spot.
Yeah.
Exactly. Anyways,
I would love if we could have just like a net around the field, so that if a loose bludger, like they just don't,
that
That's
like
the
a
worst.
like a
That's
It's
my
a
thing.
run
ball
across
net.
traffic
It's for
to
like
get the
boards.
ball.
Yeah. Like a hockey rink.
The hockey, yeah.
That would be so nice, because you could do like bank shots and stuff. Oh, that'd be great.
Oh, we have CQL, which is our Calgary Quidditch League. We've had it before, and when we just have like a gymnasium, we've got like 2 hoops, just like different dimensions and stuff. But the wall bounces and stuff is just so satisfying. You get the balls back so much quicker.
Yeah.
nice.
It's even more running.
Well, it's because now you're running both directions, because it's bounced halfway down the field the other way.
Yeah.
Anyways, we'll wrap up there. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming on. It's a pleasure. Hopefully, we can get more Western people on, and you guys won't hate us for excluding you.
Love you guys. Love to talk with you guys.
Thank you.
Super thankful for the invite. And
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's been too long of a hiatus from Quidditch. I'm starting to go stir crazy.
if you
So,
ever just wanted to hit somebody with a dodgeball.
Unfortunately, my family won't let me do that to them. I'll have to wait till Quidditch.
Well, fingers crossed, guys. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, we'll get through this. We'll all get through this.
You want to plug our socials real quick, Gabe and Nate? Whoever's plugging.
Yeah, sure. So if you're not following us already on our Instagram, Nate's got all of our Instagram social media stuff going there. It's CQQC _podcast. Go ahead and follow us there. We have some pretty cool stuff and updates from we're posting on our YouTube channel. And we'll catch everyone on the next one.